Ladies and gentlemen, Silent Mike, the homegirl Mariel. We're here going to talk about a little bit of my back injuries. If you guys know, back injury is something I've struggled with probably since like 8th grade playing basketball. I've gone to a chiro for a long time, tried different rehab things, and then obviously doing powerlifting. Injuries or issues you previously have can get accentuated. So this last May, when I was prepping for my meet, tweaked it pretty bad with a 535 squat for like 4 or 5 reps. You can check that video out, it's in the past, whatever. And so when you get a back injury or injury of any type, I think there's a couple things you have to look at. One is mobility. If you can't bring your body through a certain range of motion or the necessary range of motion for your sport, then injuries are more likely to happen. So check out mobility WOD, the homie Kelly Starrett. We've had him on this channel. You can check out his stuff to figure that out. Number 2 is programming. If you're doing too much too soon, you can get injured. The SAID principle. SAID principle is specific adaptation to impose demands. So you give a stimulus to the body. Enough stimulus, you will adapt and grow. Too much stimulus, you will break. Those are the 2 outcomes of training. And those are the 2 outcomes of impact. They're the 2 outcomes of whatever. And then 3, it's a technique thing. So if your technique shit in whatever lift you're doing, you're more likely to get injured. So when something starts to hurt, I look at those factors in myself. In mobility, I have warm up also, and figure out what I need to fix, look at, change to get better. So for me specifically, when my back was hurting, I was training a lot of volume in the conventional deadlift. I was leaning over and using my back a lot in my squat, so I think I overloaded my erectors a lot. 3, I think my glutes are weak and not activating, and I don't necessarily think when, you know, talking about activating muscles is a little bit like a cue in a lift. It doesn't mean they're not working. They don't literally shut down. They're just not firing in proper order always, and sometimes that's a mental thing you have to work around. And sometimes the exercises that I'll show you later in the video are things that I do to kind of wake them up. And once again, those are all terms. You're not actually waking shit up. You know, they're still alive and there's still blood going through them, and you know, whatever. So those are the main issues with me, as well as a tight glued med. And then talking to the homegirl over here who does some body work on Team Alpha Male and others. We've been chatting a lot, and she's been doing some maintenance work on me, and we think it may be the QL.
Yeah, so
what you got?
Vinny Rehab, your friend Vinny
Oh,
Rehab.
shout out Myo Detox. What up, Vinny?
So he brought up something on Instagram the other day about the QL being a common source of low back pain, which I actually experienced last year. My low back locked up, and it wasn't actually my glutes, it was because my glutes were inactive. And so Mike mentioned the other day that he has inactive, or you know, less than
optimal.
You know, yeah, less than optimal
whatever the hell you guys
glutes.
want to call it.
Whatever it is. Glutes. And so I was thinking, oh well, since that's something we've been working on, and I know he has been having some like low back discomfort, maybe the QL is the culprit. I mean, you know, it's obviously a combination of things. Everybody's a puzzle, but
I think that's the biggest deal. Is like people don't know if they're injured. I think if you're injured, that means it's like a thing. And these are all just my opinions and right. I hurt my knee. That means like my knee kind of hurts. Maybe I have a tight quad. Maybe I'm lifting incorrect. My knee is injured. That means like you ripped your ACL. You jacked up your kneecap, right? In my head, an injury means like something happened. Like you got cut. That's an injury. Like I got stitches because I have an injury. Oh, my shoulder kind of hurts. That's from like those things I mentioned earlier. Maybe mobility, maybe training, maybe technique, right? So if you're injured, you need to go to a doctor. Like, right? If you're hurt, we need to figure out things to continue to get better, progress in your training, in your life, do your sport, do your job. And work around it. And so that's what I called her. She works for us. She works with Power Magazine. But then she's also just a homie, so she's been doing some maintenance on me. And we're going to talk a little bit how to fix the QL and what the QL is.
Right on.
What's the QL?
Let's do it. Okay, so the QL is this cool muscle, and it's responsible for lateral tilt of your pelvis. And
this?
Yeah, so like the back of your hips. So it attaches on your last rib.
Dun, 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 dun. That's Shakira.
It's actually responsible. So when you're walking, you're using your QL. It's worked when you're doing locomotive exercises. So things like walking, anything,
running,
farmers,
stairs,
carries, running, stairs. Yeah, anything, you know, when you're moving like that. So anyway, it attaches on your last rib, L1 through 4, and
low back.
Low back, yeah, and then on the posterior side of your iliac spine.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, it lies under your erectors. It goes
kind
right
of goes
along
this
your
way,
back.
yeah. So it's coming from like here into inside my body, into here.
Yeah.
Or wherever the hell your rib is, inside.
Yeah, but like over here.
Yeah.
Right.
And so like for me, look, we're no doctors, but like I said, I'm just hurting. I'm not injured, so we try to figure things out. She has some certain knowledge in certain areas. I have some knowledge, so we talk about it. And some things I felt that were weird, and then I also read up on it a little bit, is that you feel this kind of hip being dragged into your body. So you feel maybe your feet are uneven, and that could be a sign of this. Also, I've heard psoas, and psoas is pretty easy to work on yourself, actually, if you guys want to check out Mobility WOD. And I believe Jill Miller, someone you should check out. They have a bunch of drills you can do to kind of work on your own psoas. So I did all those, no real discomfort or pain. So I was like, oh, that must be fine. And then number 2 is kind of my erectors not only would get tight from lifting, which is I think common when you're doing high reps, you just get blood in there, but it felt like underneath. You know, for like a split second, I was like, shit, man, my kidneys are jacked up. But I live pretty dang healthy and I have no injuries and no other issues, right? If your kidneys are jacked up, maybe you have some other issues in life, but I didn't. But that's kind of where the QL kind of runs.
Right under there.
Erector area. All right,
So we'll check it
fix
out.
me, doc.
Let's do it. All right.
I'll make an Instagram post as it happens. Multitasking, guys. Oh.
Okay. Plug this thing in. So I'm gonna warm you up, and then I'm gonna use my hands.
So I do have a little bit of anterior pelvic tilt, which just means like your ass sticks out, kind of the stripper booty. And that's a lot of factors involved. And so I'm always trying to fix my posture. I try to sleep in a certain position, activate my glutes, lift with proper form. So all those are always kind of a work in process. And then I think massage, chiro, ART, whatever you do is always kind of a work in process too. Like you can't go to, oh yeah, I'm so sorry, I just did sets of 10. It's all kind of a work in process too, to kind of fix everything as you go along. It's not like a one-stop shop. It's not like a car. You change the transmission, everything works. You change the alternator, everything works. It's kind of always kind of chipping away at it and making sure it's maintenance. Now I go to sleep. Oh my gosh,
Go to sleep.
Bye.